Good afternoon. Today I will be informing you about a significant tradition called Dia de los Muertos or Day of the Dead. Death can be seen as scary, morbid, and something that not everyone likes to think about. Mexicans, although, have a cultural tradition that contradicts these ideas and instead view death as not an end, but a continuation of life after death. This holiday, like I stated, is called Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, celebrated on November 1st and 2nd. Today I will inform you about this beautiful tradition that many partake in, as well as key elements in the tradition and the significance of them too. Far from being anything somber, the Day of the Dead is instead a joyful celebration where death is viewed as a natural part of the human experience. It is a time when families come together to honor and remember their deceased loved ones. Hopefully, after today, you will have a better understanding about this big tradition. Personally, as someone who grew up in a Mexican Catholic household, I would say that I have always experienced this holiday. I've always celebrated it with my family. I have memories of setting up the altars, and I have memories about the specific flowers that are used, which are called marigolds, that are these yellow flowers that have this very pungent smell, and they would be used to decorate the altars. And I even remember one year when one of my pet dogs passed away, we made a altar for my dog as well. Let's begin by exploring the origins, also known as how the holiday came to be. The roots of Dia de los Muertos can be traced back to the Aztecs. They believed that death was not something to fear, but it is an essential part of the cycle of life. They also believed that the souls of the deceased traveled to the underworld, where they would eventually rest after a long journey. When the Spanish arrived in the Americas, they brought back with them Catholicism, which merged with the indigenous traditions to create the holiday people now know as Dia de los Muertos. Key elements. One of the key elements to Dia de los Muertos are the altars, or ofrendas, that families create in their homes to honor their dead loved ones. These altars are decorated with items such as photographs, favorite foods, personal belongings of their deceased loved ones, and favorite food and drinks. And personal items would be like anything connected to the person who passed away, like their stuffed animal, their jewelry, maybe even clothing, anything like that that reminds you of your past loved ones. Another key element to this tradition, like how I stated earlier, is the flowers called marigolds, or in Spanish they are also called cempasúchil. These are believed to guide spirits back to the world of the living. They have a strong scent, and they are used to decorate around the altar. Another key element is the sugar skulls. They are basically skulls made out of sugar, and they are decorated to look like skulls, and they are symbolic in representing life and death. Another key element is pan de muerto, which is a symbol of life and death as well, and these are breads in the shape of skulls or bones. Another more key elements are candles and food and drinks, which are food and drinks usually are whatever favorite food or drink that the person who has passed away used to like when they were still alive. So you would put it on the altar, so when they come back from the underworld, they would be able to drink their favorite food or drink once again. And another Another traditional key element is the folk music. I would personally say I have an experience with this from when I was younger. I remember one year we went somewhere where they were holding these traditional dances with the folk music, and I remember that they were wearing traditional Aztec attire, things like such with like feathers and stuff like that. And I remember that they were holding a picture of deceased loved one. At the time it was my grandfather, and they were holding it and they basically dance around with the picture to honor them and remember. The cultural significance of Dia de los Muertos lies in the deep connection to both life and death, offering a unique perspective on mortality, which are the opposite of what people's usual thoughts are about death. The whole tradition in itself brings a sense of comfort to many people. The vibrant altars, the sharing food, music, and even humorous elements like funny poems about death called calaveritas. These are all to promote a more positive idea about death. Dia de los Muertos is a blend of ancient indigenous practices and Catholicism brought by the Spanish. This is important to know to keep the history alive and culture. Personally, as someone who has been a part of the culture firsthand, I would say I am proud of this tradition. It creates a sense of bonding between families as well as reinforcing the strength of community. The holiday also creates unity and belonging, ensuring that the deceased are not forgotten, but instead celebrated. In conclusion, I discussed the origins of the holiday, then I talked about the many different types of materials that people include in the tradition. Lastly, I went over the cultural significance and importance of the holiday. Ultimately, Dia de los Muertos reminds us all that while life is fleeting, the love and memories we share with loved ones who have passed last forever and will always live on through us. Thank you.